This is Barbados Rum, the case for a GI, a perspective on why some believe Barbados needs a geographical indication for its rum.
Who would have thought that we at St. Nicholas Abbey could sell rum in London at £800 plus a bottle?
In 2006, Larry Warren and his family purchased St. Nicholas Abbey. They thought that having a distillery was crucial for their business venture, and so they started out by buying rum from Four Square Factory. They've now become a producer of their own rum.
Barbados has such a niche marketing presence in the world. We are like the equivalent of champagne in France or Blue Mountain coffee in Jamaica. Our rum is well respected throughout the world. And it is so because, first of all, we have Mount Gay, who came to Barbados as a French buyer and fully immersed themselves in the knowledge that the product should be made in Barbados, should be bottled in Barbados, and now expanded to actually producing the molasses from their sugarcane fields. So this is a great example of overseas investor understanding what they've bought. Then, of course, you have Richard Seal, who is one of the foremost distillers of the world. Recently, voted as twice in a row, I believe, as distiller of all spirits in the world. And then you have us, where we have taken this last 16 years to develop our rums, paying close attention to all the processes, because we don't blend our rums. Our rums come straight from the cask to the bottle. All we add is a little bit of water. So you can understand that by doing that, we do not have opportunity for many mistakes. So therefore, all the materials, the syrup we use, which is not molasses, it's syrup, but equally it's rum from sugarcane. And this is produced, we use it because we can control it. Molasses is a byproduct of making sugar. So whether it comes from Guyana or from Nicaragua or some other country, you're always going to have variations. And therefore, the recipe would have to change. So we determined that we wanted to do it from syrup, which we grow on the plantation. We crush it here on the plantation.
He explains why he wants to see the geographical indication.
We, particularly myself and Richard, Barbadians, have a real passion to see that this GI does not dilute or reduce our efforts and the existing status that Barbados Rum has overseas.
As far as Larry Warren is concerned, the local rum industry has great prospects.
And I come back to saying that the government and BIDC have completely misunderstood this. This notion about $1 billion industry is something that was put out there with no concept of where we are. Because you could never have $1 billion industry unless you had $1 billion aging in the bond. Because you don't make premium quality rum simply by going in a lab and putting things together and producing it. The other countries like St. Croix, Puerto Rico, and the other big producers like Diageo, they have distilleries that would swamp us if we went towards a more volume down market scenario. And this is something that we have to come to grips with when we're discussing the GI. The GI for Barbados means premium quality rum, aged rum, and that can only be produced through a process of aging in a warehouse in Barbados.
St. Nicholas Abbey is looking to expand into aged rums of 30 years and more.
Who would have thought that we at St. Nicholas Abbey could sell rum in London at £800 plus a bottle? It's like when we started off this project, it was thought that we would sell our rum for $60 a bottle. And now we're selling it for 800 pounds a bottle. So it just shows you, The growth of the Barbados rum industry is through its presence in the world market and its ability to command a quality product at a high price. And we shouldn't lose that. We should embrace it.
But what does he believe should be in a GI?
From our marketing perspective, we are not intending to increase our volumes. What we're trying to do is increase our consumer base. And therefore, the way we see doing that is to stick to our tradition, stick to this story, continue producing it in an authentic, traditional way, and at the same time, showcase to people that this is a unique product that has a real story to it, because that's one of the aspects of branding, is the real story to it. Now, our next step is to just expand on our aged rums, because you remember, for the last 12 years, we have slowly transferred our production from RL Seal's rum to our rum. And we've done it in a way that continues the status of the rum in the marketplace. So we are now at a very exciting time where we're now getting 12-year plus rums. And our real effort now is to see them come right through into 25, 30-year rums, which again is another aspect of the rum industry in Barbados that does not really exist. You know, old rums do not really exist. It's only been the last 10 years when rum producers realized that they should not take their 12-year-old rum and put in stainless steel. They should continue aging at least some of it. But we, of course, will be going fully that way with our aged rums. So the next step for us is to continue doing what we're doing and to try and promote and educate those people who are within and without the industry as to really what makes Barbados so special. And it's not this goal to be the biggest rum producer in the world. That's a joke. We will never be, because we'll always have people producing far greater numbers of alcohol at lower prices than us.
Still to come, Larry Warren says,
if we can connect with the rum industry and the sugar industry in a viable way, we've done it, because we have the best value-added product in the world for sugarcane. The point is that a GI should be restrictive and encourage creativity within certain rules. When you start throwing everything into the kitchen sink, then it becomes a free-for-all, and you cannot defend it. You cannot say this is a protected geographical indicator, because there is too many variables in it that people will find dilute its importance as a geographic index. And personally, I think by the time, and I'm not an expert on this, but by the time it gets to Europe, they will throw this out. So we will be nowhere. This, in my mind, is an exercise in trying to maintain a business plan that was devised in France and contributes to production of rum in France. And the GI impacts that business plan. It makes it difficult to continue that business plan of taking rum from a foreign country, taking it to France, aging it, doing whatever is to be done with it, adding sugar to it. And if the GI was implemented, it would squash that business plan. There's no attempt to grow a premium brand here in Barbados, which is what Mount Gay did after all. Mount Gay could easily have come in, and they could have easily have just started production overseas. And they didn't. They invested heavily in the distillery, in the land. They bought plantations. I understand now that they're planning to lease 2 more plantations. So they've done it right.
And he has views too on the link between sugarcane and the rum industry.
This is a passion of mine. About 12 years ago, a sugar technologist named Keith Laurie, who was very interested with what I was doing up here with making syrup and producing rum. And he was a rum connoisseur himself. He had rums from all over the world. A most interesting man. He said to me, he says, the sugar industry is doomed if you continue making sugar, because it takes 40% more energy and endless more capital to make sugar than to make syrup. And the whole point of the industry in Barbados is to maintain sugarcane fields. You know, this is the beauty of the island. This is kind of like the patchwork beauty of the countryside. And that's what's given Barbados this wonderful, vistas, not like in Antigua or, St. Kitts, where everything is just grown into shrub. And the whole point is that if we can connect with the rum industry and the sugar industry in a viable way, we've done it, because we have the best value-added product in the world for sugarcane, rum.
Mr. Warren sees a difficulty in the two older distilleries being able to switch from using molasses to syrup, as is the case in his distillery.
You can't get a company like Mount Gay, and to a lesser extent Four Squares, to change over from molasses to syrup, because they're going to be concerned about their image and also the historical context of making rum from molasses. And finally, they're going to be concerned about the flavor profile of the rum. It's been proven on a few studies, and I think I can even attest to this, that syrup can boost the capacity for making rum because it has more sugar in it, with little fall off in taste profile. Just because molasses is such a dominant flavor, you could, for instance, start off by adding 40% of the syrup to the molasses. And what that would do is improve efficiencies, because no longer would you be talking about 9% alcohol being produced from a batch, but it would be more like 12%. And then as time goes on, you could convert that more and more and more until whatever point in time that you feel that the flavor profile is diminishing from where you want it. But still, let's just assume that 50% of the syrup in the of the molasses in the rum industry was bolstered with syrup. That would be an enormous amount of syrup. I mean, we import serious tons of molasses. So we'd be reducing our importation bill, increasing our syrup production, reducing the cost of producing the liquid sugar at the factories by some 40 or even 50%. That means the cane farmers could now continue growing, getting a profit, but the motivation has to come from the rum producers. And this is what we're trying to, in the BSIL, I'm a director of the BSIL, trying to get the BSIL to involve the rum producers more in a participating way, not just being out on the periphery. And it's coming, but it's not there yet. It's a while still to come.
This has been Barbados Rum, the case for a GI. I'm David Ellis.